Shana Tova, everyone. It's really wonderful to get to be together in this space on this holiday. This is the first time for a couple of years that we've been able to be together and in our sanctuary. And so I want to just give all of us the opportunity to take a note of that and to hear how awesome it sounds when we all say Shana Tova all together. So I'm going to invite us on the count of three to say Shana Tova at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Shana Tova! Awesome. I think we're ready to start our family service. So as we begin, I want to note a couple of things. The first is I want to say a huge thank you to our youth choir who is singing with us together on this day. Thank you for bringing your voices. Thank you for all of the hard work. I actually got to hear a little bit. You don't know this, but I could actually hear you guys rehearsing, and you sound fantastic. I am so excited. They put a lot of work into singing and helping us have this service today. I want to thank also Mark Dickey for playing music, for being our piano, our music today. Mark, thank you very much for being a part of this service, for offering your music, and for being a part of this service. Thank you. I think that every single generation hears Torah a little bit differently. In fact, throughout our literature, when it says that we've received Torah, it goes even further to explain not just you, but every generation hears its own Torah. My understanding of that is that we all literally hear it in a little bit of a different way. And so just as we have services that are meant to speak to different members of our community, today we have a service just for the members of our community who are of a younger generation, who might hear it in a different way. And so much of our service is meant to be a little bit somber, to bring us into this day with seriousness. This service will have a lot of seriousness to it, but I invite us to pick up a little bit of sweetness as well. Sing along. The hope for this service is just, well, dare I say, have a little bit of fun on Yom Kippur. So let's begin. Let's start by singing together, because we know that the day is better when we sing with one another. I invite us to open to the first page of our booklets and sing the words, Hine Matov.
Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Ahi Gam Yahad. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Ahi Gam Yahad. How good it is, how sweet it is,
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Ahim Gam Yahad. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Ahim Gam Yahad. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is, to be together on this day. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Ahim Gam Yahad. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Ahim Gam Yahad.
Well, I want to invite us to read together on that same page, starting with We Thank You. We thank you, living and eternal one, for morning light, for the breath within us, for strength and life renewed. Now it opens before us, this Sabbath of Sabbaths, gift of spacious contemplation, mirror for the soul. May we see our lives reflected in this still, clear pool, a day apart, unhurried time, an undivided mind. Give us joy in this day that Israel shares. Give us presence and attention, clear vision, a listening heart. We wake to the morning. We open our eyes. We breathe your name.
Yavo Ezri,
continue responsively. Yom Kippur is a day of thinking and remembering. Yom Kippur is a day to remember how we acted this past year. Yom Kippur gives us an opportunity to think about how we could have done a little bit better. Yom Kippur is a day to think about who we want to be in this new year. Yom Kippur gives us an opportunity to say, I'm sorry, and to start over again. As we begin our service today, we ask God to listen carefully to our apologies, our prayers, and our promises for the next year. Every day holds the beauty and wonder of the first day of creation together. The High Holy Days remind us that new beginnings are precious and powerful. On this day, we begin our service with gratitude. We thank Adonai, the source of blessings, for the opportunity to start a new page in our individual stories. We will work with Adonai and with one another to open our eyes and our hearts to new ideas, bring freedom to all people, stand strong and together against injustice, celebrate the image of God found in every person, give ourselves to strengthen communities, empower all people by honoring their voices. We thank you, Adonai, for these opportunities to bring blessings into the world. Thank you, Adonai, for filling this moment with potential. We continue with the Baruch Hu. I'd like to invite us to please rise in body or in spirit. Continue now with the words of Yotzer Or. I'd like to call up Mr. J to lead us in these words.
Or uvarei Hoshech, oseh shalom uvarei et hakol. Or chadash al Zion ta'ir, v'niskeh hulanu mehero le'aro. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzer hamorot.
Let's read all together. God's love stretches from top to bottom. It stretches and grows and melds from beginning to end. God's love reaches from start to finish. It reaches and spreads, forgetting just where it began. God's love teaches with stories and laws and rules and prayers. It teaches us best how to live. In love we listen. We too can stretch. We too can reach.
and we too can teach. As we seek the new year ahead, wrap us in your presence. Life is a great big talit. Hold us close with this prayer in your love. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael, ba'ahava.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol lavavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinartam leonecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'beitecha u'vlektecha b'derech u'shofbecha u'vkumecha u'shortam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotakot bein einecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'bisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohim asher hotzeiti etem me'eretz Mitzrayim li'hiyot lahem le'Elohim. Ani Adonai Elohim. Adonai Elohim.
Now I'd like to call up Sharon Amster-Brown, our Director of Education and Congregational Engagement, to offer these next words.
We love God when we do good deeds each day. Help us, God, to show you our love in every way. And how do we love God with all our hearts? We love God with all our hearts when we love other people. Help us, God, to respect everyone, to speak kind words, to listen well. How do we love God with all of our minds? We love God with all our minds when we study Torah. Help us, God, to learn your Torah. And how do we love God with all our strength? We love God when we share what we have. Helping others is the way we love God with all our strength. Help us, God, to be people who give tzedakah. Eternal our God, we want to show you we love you through all our deeds. May our love make the world a better place, the kind of world you meant it to be when you created us.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, and that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
rise. God, as we remember all that you do, we make this promise. To be like you, we will help raise up those who fall, help heal those who are sick, free those who are in need. As your partners, we will support the poor, feed the hungry, house the homeless, befriend the lonely, and give hope to all people. As you have helped us live better lives, we shall help others. We praise you, O God, who gives meaning to our lives. Today, you open the book of life so that we can read what is written on its pages. Today, you ask us to open our hearts and reflect on what we have said and done in this past year. On Rosh Hashanah, it is written, and on Yom Kippur, it is sealed, but throughout the year, the book of life is open, and the choices we make leave our mark on the world. And so we ask ourselves and each other, who will choose to live a good life? Whose hands will cause hurt, and whose hands will help heal? Who will speak up, and who will be silent? Who will be wise enough to learn from others, and who will be strong enough to make good choices? Who will be greedy, and who will be grateful? Who will break people down, and who will build people up? Who will choose to be a blessing? U'tshuva, u'tefillah, u'tzedakah, ma'avirin et roa gezerah. Through the return to the right path, through prayer and through righteous giving, we can earn a new page in the book of life and write a better story in the new year. Please be seated. Well, sometimes it's hard to remember everything that we might have done in the past year and everything that we hope to do differently. And so each year we set a list, alphabetically set out, but all kinds of different things to remind us of all the ways that we might have done wrong in the past year and better ways that we might have in the year to come. For some of us, we're going to choose to take our hand and tap our heart a little bit. Some of us call it beating our chest. Others say we're waking up. We're knocking into our heart, our soul, and saying, wake up. If you would like to, I invite you to do so as we offer the words of Ashamnu.
Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, Ashamnu.
Ashamnu,
Bagadnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu,
Gazalnu,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, Ha'evinu,
Ha'evinu,
Vehir Shanu,
Vehir Shanu,
Zanu,
Zanu,
Chamasnu,
Chamasnu,
Tafalnu Sheker,
Tafalnu Sheker,
Lai, 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 lai. Ya'atznu Ra,
Ya'atznu Ra,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latznu,
Latznu,
Maradnu,
Maradnu,
Niatznu,
Niatznu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Pashanu,
Pashanu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Kishinu Oref,
Kishinu Oref,
Lai, 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 lai. Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu,
Titanu, Yai lai 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 lai, Yai lai 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 lai, Yai lai 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 lai. I invite us to join together on the words following. Ashamnu, we have acted without thinking. Bagadnu, we have been bystanders to bullying. Gazalnu, we have been careless with other people's things. Dibarnu dofi, we have done harm with our words. He'evinu, we have erred by not acting ethically. Hir shanu, we have forgotten who we are. Zadnu, we have grossly misjudged others. Chamasnu, we have acted out of hatred. Tafalnu shaker, we have ignored the truth. Yatsnu ra, we have used poor judgment. Kizavnu, we have said things we know to be untrue. Latsnu, we have laughed at people and not with them. Maradnu, we have made enemies instead of friends. Niatsnu, we have taken the name of God in vain. Sararnu, we have overwhelmed our parents and teachers. Avinu, we have put down other people's accomplishments. Pashanu, we have quit too soon. Sararnu, we have disrespected the rights of others. Kishinu oref, we have been stubborn and stiff-necked. Rashanu, we have tolerated cruelty. Shichatnu, we have not stood up for what we believe in. Tiavnu, we have violated our values. Ta'inu, we have gone the wrong way. Titanu, we have extinguished other people's joy and hope. We have yelled when we could have spoken with clarity and kindness. We have been lazy about doing the right thing. Al chait shechaltanu lefanecha. Together, for the sins we have committed against you. Sometimes we miss the mark or don't try our best. Sometimes we miss the mark on purpose and sometimes by accident. Sometimes we miss the mark by not caring and sometimes by being mean. Sometimes we miss the mark by acting like we are better than others and sometimes by not listening. Sometimes we miss the mark by telling lies and sometimes by hurting people's feelings. Sometimes we miss the mark by being selfish and sometimes by losing our temper. God, none of us is perfect. We remember the times that we have missed the mark so that the next time we can do better. Forgive us and help us try harder. Help us to learn from our mistakes. Help us to be the best people we can be. Please rise. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we've missed the mark before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our families. Avinu Malkeinu, help us bring an end to sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, help us write our name in the book of lives well lived. Please be seated. Now I'd like to call up Sharon Amster Brown to offer the words on the middle of this page.
God is a big idea and a best friend. God is a protector and guardian. God is the hug that puts us back together when we fall apart.
God is the feeling in our hearts that makes us stand up for what is right.
God is the mirror that shows us how our actions impact others.
God is the love that helps us stand tall, confident in ourselves.
God is far away and closer than we could ever imagine.
God is mine and I am God's. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Ra Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki atahu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Mo ve'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam.
We continue now with Seder Kriyat Torah, our service for the taking out and reading of our Torah. And so I'd like to call up our 5 Torah readers this holiday: Leah Factorman, Lily Kiles, Sophie Charon, Rachel Kelson, and Abby Kelson. For the rest of the congregation, I'd like to invite all of us to please rise in body or in spirit. al gemilut chasadim. Al shlosha devarim. Please be seated. First, for our first reader, I'd like to call up Leah Factorman to read these words for us today. Now, this first section of our Torah reading has a reminder in it that our possessions don't actually belong to us. That a section of the things that we have belong to the people around us, and when we give our money away to those who are in need, it's not something extra, it's not a charity that we do. In fact, we don't often use the word charity, rather we use the word tzedakah, meaning that this seems like simply the right thing to do. For everyone who has had the opportunity to do this work, who has given tzedakah this year, in one form or another, I want to invite you to take on this aliyah. What that means is I'm going to invite you to rise where you're standing, or where you're sitting, rather. You'll be standing. And to join together in the words for this blessing. Either if you have or if a member of your family has, let's take on this blessing for this first reading all together. For those of us who have given tzedakah in this year, I want to invite you to please rise. Let's offer the blessing all together on the next page. Baruch et Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'na'atan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah. Amen.
Oh, Tachaleh, Ha'at, Sadcha, Liksor, Velaget, Ketzircha, Lo, Telakate. V'charnecha lo te'oleo, uferet charnecha lo telakit, le'ani v'lager ta'azov otam, ani Adonai Elohechem.
We continue now with the English translation of those same words.
And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not finish by reaping the corners of your field, and you shall not gather the gleanings of your harvest, and you shall not pick your vineyard bare, and you shall not gather the fallen fruits of your vineyard. Leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I am Adonai your God.
Well, for those of us taking on this aliyah, this honor, I'd like to invite us to rise again and offer the words for the blessing after the Torah reading. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah. Amen. I want to point out something. If you look around, you will see just about every single member of our community here standing for this particular aliyah. There are some things that speak to us in our world, but often we have different ways of connecting spiritually. But at the core of who we are as a community is a sense that there can be a better world. On Yom Kippur, we do that inner work, but throughout the year, we do that work around our world and our country, everyone who's outside of ourselves. We are a people of tzedakah, of justice. May we always remember that our community has at its heart this work. And as we do the work together today of discovering, reconnecting, and reestablishing our best selves, may that always remind us that the next step is, of course, the work of justice. Please be seated. For our next aliyah, I'd like to call up Lily Kiles to offer this reading for us today. The next section of our Torah reading talks about things that help us live happily and peacefully with other people. It includes the words, and you can nod your head if you've heard these words, not placing a stumbling block before the blind. Have you heard that? Okay. That means making sure that we go out of our way to help other people, to help our friends and family. So I want to invite anyone who has helped a family member or a sibling this year when they needed that help to go ahead and rise. This aliyah is for you. Go ahead and stand up. Let's offer the blessing together. Baruch et Adonai hamborach, Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam va'ed, Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah. Amen.
Tignohu, velo techachashu, velo teshavru, ish ba'amito, velo tishavu, fishmi, la shaker, vehilalta, et shem Elohecha, Ani Adonai, lo ta'ashok et reacha, velo tigzol, lo ta'alin, peulat sachir, ita ad boker, lo tekalel heiresh, velivnei itever, lo titein michol, ve'ar
We continue with the English translation of those same words.
You shall not steal, and you shall not deceive, and you shall not lie to one another, nor swear falsely in my name, profaning in the name of your God. I am Adonai. You shall not exploit your neighbor, and you shall not rob. You shall not keep a worker's wage with you overnight until morning. You shall not curse a person who is deaf, nor put a stumbling block before a person who is blind. Rather, you shall revere your God. I am Adonai.
For those of us taking on this aliyah, I invite us to rise again. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen. I'm always surprised by these particular words because they don't say simply, don't help out someone who might need. They say very specifically not to place a stumbling block before the blind, to think ahead of time of what someone might need. The real secret to kindness is that it's sometimes complicated. And it often takes a couple of extra steps for us to be proactive. And so my blessing and hope for all of us is not just to wait for opportunities to come to us, but to step forward, to look ahead to the ways that we might be kind to the people in our lives. Our next aliyah talks about not bearing a grudge. If someone is truly sorry and changes for their actions, we are meant to forgive them. And so, anyone who has been asked to forgive someone else and you have forgiven them this year, I want to invite you to rise. This aliyah is yours. I would like as well to invite Sophie Charon to offer these words. Let's offer this blessing together. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai hamborach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'na'atan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen.
Lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat, lo tisaf v'nedal, v'lo techdar penei gadol, betzedek tishpot ametecha, lo telech rachil be'amecha, lo ta'amod al dam reyecha, ani Adonai, lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha, hocheach tochiach et amitecha, velo tisa alav chet, lo tikom velo titor et bnei amecha, ve'achavta l'reacha kamecha, ani Adonai. You shall not do injustice in indulgement. You shall not favor one who is weak, and you shall not defer to one who is powerful. You shall judge your kin with justice. You shall not spread slander among your people. You shall not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor. I am Adonai. You shall not hate your kin in your heart. Reprove your friend, thus you will not bear guilt because of a friend. You shall not seek vengeance or bear a grudge against members of your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am Adonai.
For those of us taking on this aliyah, I invite us to rise again. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Notein HaTorah. Amen. The rabbi said that perhaps more than anything else, there is a tremendous power in the act of forgiveness. We are not a people who think that we can somehow be perfect. We know and recognize that each and every one of us make mistakes. And so we remind ourselves that it's not just about making the mistake. The important thing is to do the act of teshuvah, of learning to find a new way forward. And so if we have done wrong, I invite us to find a way to ask for forgiveness. And for those of us who are asked of forgiveness, to remember that that person might need to move forward in that way. We also know, however, that words are not actions in our community. They carry tremendous power, but the full act of forgiveness is not complete until that person is in the same situation again and they act differently. May we all find the power to look in our hearts, find the ways that we need to ask others for forgiveness, and may we find the strength to act differently in the future. For our next aliyah, I'd like to call up Rachel Kelson. This aliyah talks about welcoming the stranger and taking in the person who might be new into your community just as they might be of yourself. The person who is new in your community, to make them even as a citizen in your nation. And so, if you helped welcome a new person in your class, at temple, or at school, a new friend into your circle, I want to invite you to rise. This aliyah is for you. Let's join together in the blessing. Baruch hu et Adonai hamborach. Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamborach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'na'atan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Notein HaTorah. Amen.
Mipnei seva takum vehadarta pine zakein vehareta me Elohecha ani Adonai Vikiagur etecha ger be'artzachem lo tonu eto ke'izracha michem yehiyeh lechem oh my goodness Hagar etchem ve'etchem ve'avtalo kamocha ke'it oh my goodness ke'gerim I did this beautifully before etem be'eretz Mitzrayim ani Elohehem. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yes. Rise before the one whose head is white with age, and regard an elder with respect, and revere your God. I am Adonai. And when strangers dwell with you in your land, you shall not wrong them. The stranger who dwells with you shall be like a citizen among you, and you shall love that person as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Adonai, your God.
For those of us taking on this aliyah, I'd like to invite us to rise again. Let's join together in the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, Notein HaTorah. Amen. Well, I love the particular reading that we offered because it doesn't just say treat someone new with kindness. It says, remember, you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Just as you might have been new in a new place, you should remember what it's like for someone else to be new in a new place. May we all remember what it's like to be in a place that is strange, a place that is we are in for the very first time, and to welcome one another. To remember that feeling and maybe even make a new friend. For our next Aliyah, I'd like to call up Abby Kelson to offer a reading. This next reading reminds us that we should be honest in our business. Now, I want to invite anyone who has shared with their friends equally this year. This might be a tough one. Anyone who has given the equal amount of the things that they have, maybe equal amount with their toys, or did the right thing even if they didn't win their video game or sports game. It's, with sports, I call it a sports game. Anyone who has taken to heart the practice of acting ethically in this world, I want to invite you to please rise. This Aliyah is for you. Let's join together in our blessing. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'na'atan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'torah. Amen.
Lo ta'asu avel b'mishpat b'midah b'mishkal uvamsura ma'oznei tzedek avnei tzedek ephod tzedek v'hein tzedek yihyeh lachem ani Adonai Elohechem, asher chotzcheti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim. Ushmartem et kol chukotai v'et kol mishpotai. Va'asitem otam ani Adonai.
We continue now with the English translation of that same reading.
You shall not act unjustly in judgment. In the measurement of weight and liquid measure, you shall have honest scales, honest weights, an honest ephah, an honest hin. I am Adonai who brought you forth from the land of Egypt, and you shall keep all my laws, all my judgments, and do them. I am Adonai.
For those of us taking on this Aliyah, I invite us to rise again. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah. Amen. Acting dishonestly is actually short-sighted. And I think that our text reminds us of this, drawing maybe the image of one of our rabbis saying that in a community we should feel all like we are part of one physical self. When one of us hurts another, we hurt everyone in it. Rather, we should treat one another with kindness and find ourselves in a body that is greatly healthy, a community that is good to one another, and all the better because of it. We now continue with the lifting and dressing of our Torah. I'd like to invite our congregation to please rise in body or in spirit.
supporters are. Happy it is a tree of life to those that hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom.
Please be seated.
As honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah la'asok b'divrei Torah. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues. Sweet as honey, sweet as honey, sweet as honey on our tongues.
Well, in order for me to tell this story, I need the name of a person. Can someone raise your hand? Give me the name of a person. Max. Matt, I love it. All right.
Let's go.
That'll work. Well, many, many years ago, there were a group of teachers that would travel from one town to the next, all over Eastern Europe, and they were known as the people who were Shem Tovs, or Baal Shem Tovs. They would go from one town to the next and offer different healing or different ways, and one of the best ways that they did that was they taught people that it's not just about the actions or the words, but the feelings behind the actions and words. They went around and taught about something called kavanah. Can you repeat after me? Kavanah. Kavanah. You've got this. We're ready for this story. Okay. So, these different Baal Shems would go from town to town, and of all the different Baal Shems, there was one who was known as the greatest. And so, they called him the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov was so influential, so popular, so well known that still today we tell some of his stories, and this is one of them. Every year, the Baal Shem Tov loved to hear the shofar blast. Can you nod if you also like hearing the shofar? Yeah, I also do too. He loved hearing the shofar blast, and so he would teach about it all year. And he would offer all of these different ideas, and he would offer for each blast, let's count them. How many blasts are there? There's tekiah. Can you raise your hand? Tell me what the other blasts are. What are the other blasts? Yeah. Shivarim. Truah. Excellent. And there's a really great one. Tekiah Gadola. So, for each of the blasts, he would teach a different kavanah. He would say, before each of the blasts, you should think about such, and you should sit in meditation. Well, it grew into a practice that every year there would be one great shofar blower, and that shofar blower would offer each of the 4 kavanot. But here's the thing. It was a different shofar blower every year. They would hold a contest to be the one to blow the shofar for the Baal Shem Tov. And people would line up for all the way around the block to blow the shofar for the Baal Shem Tov, and maybe, just maybe, the Baal Shem Tov would pick them. They would be able to blow the shofar at the Baal Shem Tov service. Now, they all knew that there were how many different shofar blows? 4, thank you. 4 different ones, and each one had a different kavanah. Each one had a different thing that they had to remember, and so in this line, you could see a long line of people all sitting there practicing 1, 2, 3, 4, all the different kavanot to blow their shofar. Well, Max had always wanted to blow the shofar for the Baal Shem Tov. In fact, for years, Max had been practicing all of the different kavanot that the Baal Shem Tov had each and every year, and finally, this was his year. And so he decided to line up in the long line. He could hear the other shofar blowers already at the end of the line blasting their shofars for the Baal Shem Tov, and he felt, hey, a little nervous. A little bit nervous. Can you show me your nervous faces? You show me your nervous faces? Thank you, Sharon. Yeah. Oh, she's nervous. She's shaking a little bit. Yeah. Because there were some pretty amazing shofar blowers, right? Well, the line got closer and closer to the room where the Baal Shem Tov was listening. And you could almost hear before each blast, each shofar blower offering these 4 different kavanot, whispering before they offered their blast. And finally, it came Max's turn. Max walked into the room and stood in front of the great figure, the Baal Shem Tov. He'd been hearing about the Baal Shem Tov his whole life. Stories of and from the Baal Shem Tov, this great figure, and he took out his shofar, and trembling, he said the first kavanah, and he blew Tekiah. Brrr. He stopped. For a moment, he almost forgot that second kavanah, but he did remember it, and he offered that second kavanah, and he said it, and then he blew Shivarim. Brrr, brrr, brrr. And then his mind went blank. He stood there in front of the great sage, the Baal Shem Tov, and he couldn't remember what the next kavanah was. He knew without being able to say the right words, he couldn't offer that shofar blast in the right way, and so he just stood there. And in that moment, he started to cry. Now, the Baal Shem Tov had been hearing people blow shofar all day, had been listening to one person after the next perfectly offer the words of the kavanah, and with a crystalline blast, offer each and every shofar blast. But this was the first time that the Baal Shem Tov looked up. The Baal Shem Tov stood up, walked over to Max, and said, all of the kavanot, every single one of them is meant to try and open our hearts. The shofar blast itself is meant to shake us, and today I saw you trembling, and I watched your heart open up. And you know what? That Yom Kippur, Max blew the shofar for the Baal Shem Tov. My hope for each and every one of us that we not worry about the words. They're there, but it's all there just to open up our hearts and help us feel a little bit of this holy day. Shana Tova. Well, we continue our service now with the words of Aleinu. I'd like to invite us to please rise in body or in spirit.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. If you'd like to join with me, I invite us to read together on page 21 of our prayer books. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with the people we have loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we love our days, these are the ways we remember. As our service ends, we think about the people whose lives have ended. Some of them we knew, and they were very special to us. We loved them and missed them very much. Others we did not know, but we honor them as well. I'd like to invite all of us to think now of the people that we are remembering, either those who have died in this season, in past years, or people whose memory is very important to this day of Yom Kippur. Sometimes it's just the holiday itself that brings back the memory of people that we loved. And so, if there's someone that you are thinking of, I invite you to share their name aloud as my hand passes across our sanctuary.
Rabbi Cantor,
I'd like to invite us to offer these words all together. You can find them on page 22 of our prayer books. Please rise in body or in spirit. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, v'yamad yivarach v'yotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach leolam omeomaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitnomam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudesha barichu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim alinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Osei shalom v'mamav, hu ya'asei shalom, alinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru, amen. Zichronam livracha, may there always be a good place in our hearts. May we always find sweetness, learning about the people who came before us and remembering those that we have loved. Well, we have a particular song for the end of our service. If you turn to the last page, at the very bottom, you'll see the words for this particular song set for the shofar blast of this season. If we need a little bit of practice, the first blast is Tekiah, the second blast is Shivarim, the third blast is Truah, and the fourth blast is 1, 2, 3.
But you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
You'll know,
okay,
they'll know
all right.
what to do because the choir is going to demonstrate it and you're going to repeat it after them.
Awesome.
Okay.
I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. I like to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I like to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Shevarim.
Thank you to our youth choir. You were fantastic. Did a great job leading us. You led us all today. You were fantastic. Yasher Koach.
Well, Shana Tova, everyone. We'll continue our services at 4 o'clock with our afternoon service, our Yizkor, and our Ne'ilah service, wishing everyone a good and sweet New Year. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. You betcha.